just being younger and coming from less fortunate to fortunate, a lot of guys feel like, they need to reward themselves more than they actually have to, and that's just a stepping stone as, I would say being a younger player, that a lot of people have to get over, but and it's not just young players, it's older players too that still struggle with the same fight. So
Welcome to a special episode of the Hero of the Hour podcast. Today we have not one, but two incredible guests joining us. First up is Mike Boone, a renowned football running back for the Houston Texans of the NFL. Mike's journey began in a small town just outside Jacksonville, Florida. He honed his skills on the field and earned his degree at the University of Cincinnati. Despite entering the NFL as an undrafted free agent in 2018, Mike's hard work and determination have propelled him to success. In today's episode, we'll unravel the story of his remarkable career and delve into the mindset that has made him a force to be reckoned with on the gridiron. But our exploration doesn't stop there. Joining us is another exceptional guest, Mike Tisch, a financial specialist at Sports Wealth Asset Group, SWAG. SWAG is on a mission to empower athletes and entertainers to achieve financial wellness. With a dynamic team of experts, including attorneys, CPAs, life underwriters, financial consultants, and NFLPA registered financial planners. SWAG is all about helping clients reduce costs, amplify their wealth, and enhance their brand value. During this episode, you'll hear Mike Boone's personal belief in the importance of looking out for both himself and his financial future. This commitment to making wise decisions not only benefits him, but also makes Mike Tisch's job as a financial specialist that much more effective. And for all you football enthusiasts out there, Mike Boone will share his insights into what factors he considers most crucial when evaluating which team he'll play for in the coming year. Discover the significance of finding your passion beyond the football field. Gain an insider's perspective on the difference between regular season and playoff games, and experience the camaraderie that defines the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a unique blend of sports, finance, and life wisdom, so don't miss out on this enriching conversation. Join us as we embark on this fascinating journey with Mark, Mike, and Mike. Enjoy.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Mark Murphy. I'm the founder and CEO of Northeast Private Client Group, and happy to announce I'm a #1 Amazon bestseller with his book, The Ultimate Investment. You can get in virtually every airport in America or any bookstore, Amazon, Books A Million, any place. But we're not here today to talk to about my book. We're here because I've got two special guests with me. I've got NFL running back, a star running back, Mike Boone from the University of Cincinnati. By way of the University of Cincinnati, joining us today, and Mike Tisch, who is the president and founder of SWAG, the Sports Wealth Asset Group. And welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. Hey, I got my trusty book in hand, and I appreciate it. I'm definitely going to give that a read. Congratulations on all the success, as always.
It's as I always kid. I go, my friends kid me. He goes, it's your third book you've written. That's great because it's two more than you've read. So so I was just having fun with it. And I was kidding on the live stream the other day. Somebody said to me, "Yeah, it's fantastic, your book." He goes, "My dining room table was wobbly. I put your book right under one of the legs." And, it was like really, really solid now. So, I think when you start believing you're all that, the world has a way of telling you're not all that. But one of the ways I've heard, Mike Tisch has been on with me before, and he answered this question. But Mike Boone, I'd love to find out from you. I call it the Hero of the Hour podcast because I like to have people on here that are either personal heroes to me, or people that are heroes to other people. So as a star professional athlete, tell me what does a hero mean to you, and who are some of your heroes?
Oh man, it depends on what you're looking for. A hero can come in all shapes, all sizes. Personally, I feel heroes elevate. heroes, someone who give you game, So maybe my definition of a hero may be slightly different, but to me that's an example of a hero. I could give my guy Mike Tisch that hero possibly. He gave me a lot of game, working with him for years, so that's probably what I would sum up to a hero.
I agree with you about Mike Tisch. Nobody will work harder for you than him. He is maniacal and psychotic in terms of his support of people he cares about. I would kid him because I had no interest in getting involved with professional athletes, but his persistence was more than my resistance. He just wore me down with his energy and his passion and what he does to help people, and it's tremendous. A lot of people know your story. A lot of people don't know your story. I'd love you to talk a little bit about kind of where you started, where you are right now, and where you're going.
Yeah, man. I'm from a small town right outside of Jacksonville, Florida, McClenny, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where it all started. Back Baker County High School. I attended the University of Cincinnati, 4 years, got my degree there. Did 3 years in Minnesota, and just finished a 2-year contract with Denver. So hitting the free agency market now, that's a roller coaster. So however that ends, that's where we'll be after this. But quick background, undrafted, I left that out, but that's about it.
One of the things you think it's one thing when you're a 5-star rated athlete and you're a first round draft choice and you sign those guaranteed contracts for tens of millions of dollars. But what have you learned? I mean, one of the things I think it's you obviously have some incredible athletic ability and natural gifts. But the thing I'm so impressed by you is not only in terms of your character, but also the fight that you have, because there's an awful lot of people competing for only a few spots. And so what have you learned in the first 5 years of your NFL career? Is there anything you could share that would not only help other athletes, but just help other people who are fighting in all different jobs and, not hoping to succeed like you have?
Yeah. The biggest advice I could give, I would say, just being consistent. That's what helped me a lot. Just managing and making the right decisions. Kind of how me and Mike met one another. He was just around. He was being consistent for years and years, dropping game on me for years before, I even signed with him. So that's a lesson, I learned from myself, and I also saw that in Mike. So just I would say, managing, making the right decisions, and being consistent. That's probably best advice I could give.
I also wonder, because it changed for me. I guess you're going to find out here, but I want to also congratulate you in that you're going to be a dad in a couple months, right?
Yeah,
so,
man. Yeah, thank you.
That's pretty awesome. I think one of the great gifts in life is to have children, and I think you're going to be, because I've gotten to know you, so I think you're going to be a hell of a father. But it also gets real, because it's not, when it's just about you, you go, I'll be fine. But now you got to worry about somebody else. Is that scaring you at all?
Slightly, but I'm prepared. I feel like I'm prepared for it. Got a lot of positive people in my corner, that do a good job at not allowing me to get scared or frustrated about the future. But I'm excited. He'll be here around May. So yeah.
It's a he. We know it's a he. It's a
yeah,
boy.
for sure. Yeah, it's a boy. It's a boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I think that's pretty awesome. I get actually, as good a dad as I know you're going to be, and as successful as I know you are, I hope you have 4 or 5 kids, because they bring great joy to your life. Surprised, one of the things I've always thought about with folks is, you have to work with such focus and intensity just to be able to succeed at the level that you succeed. I mean, how many kids play sports in when they're 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, and then how many of them actually play high school sports, and then how many of those high school sport guys play college sports, and then how many people get to the NFL? It's like, I think you have a better chance of being struck by lightning or being eaten by a shark when you go swimming than you do making it to the NFL like you have. But the idea is, how is a guy who, and you and I've talked about this a little bit, but how is a guy who is as thoughtful and smart as you have to dedicate so much energy just to make sure that you can do your job as an NFL running back. But you also realize that you've got a life 30, 40, 50, 60 years after the NFL. How do you balance between making sure that you're ready for the season, but also trying to think about, hey, what do I want to do when this great journey in sports ends?
Right. That's a good question, man. Kind of, me and Mike spend a lot of time, on my free time going over ideas and, he call it paying myself when I'm 30 and 40 years old. So, again, shout out to Mike. He's been a big help in that regard, and but that just goes back into, like I said, kind of being consistent, and making those good decisions. And that's kind of what, on my free time, me and having those conversations with Mike is making it easier to, help me with any decisions I may need after, with life after football. And he's been a great help in the financial standpoint. He's been giving me, again, a lot of knowledge about stocks, bonds, investments. And this kind of drew me towards, that route outside of football. So, yeah, man, it's kind of hard. You get a lot of fame for making it here, I would say, to the NFL. But like you said, I see the importance also in after the career, because it doesn't. A lot of people say NFL means not for long, So I just try to handle and hit all the points I can outside of football.
The one thing that I would wish for you, because I know what a good person that you are, is that you go back to, sometimes I'll go back to my high school reunion, and the guys that were the big athletes, and I played basketball and I played sports growing up in high school, but for many of them, they're approaching 60 years old, and the highlight of their life was playing high school football or high school basketball. And the wish that I have for you is that you have as much success as you've had on the gridiron. I want you to have even more success outside of football when you retire. And I think a guy like you who's willing to do whatever it takes, I think has a chance to go do that. And I'm just excited to see I'm excited to see where you're going to sign this year, what kind of season you have. Hopefully you get to the playoffs and beyond. But I'm also excited to see what 10 years from now is like, and what you're doing, and what kind of dad you are, and what kind of businesses you're involved in. And I think they're going to be very, very, very successful going forward. One of the things that's always curious to me is because it's not my generation, but one of the fastest growing parts of our business is we're doing business with influencers. And people that, aren't NFL players, they're just regular people, and they're making 30, 40, 50, 60, $100,000 a month in social media, and promoting products and other things. Tell us what you see other guys doing, and tell us what, if you got any plans in social media.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I don't post on my social media as much as I could, so I may not be much of a hero in that aspect. But
or maybe you're just smart.
Right. Right. But I see a lot of content creators. I see a lot of people taking that route, Again, I don't post too much, so it would be kind of contradicting to say, I wanted to take that route with social media after, but I like how I don't remember his name off top, but it's a few guys, again, that took the like content creating route that I could see myself possibly doing, just spreading the information that I learned. I could take that route on social media, and go some down that path.
One of the things I think that, is to try to find your passion outside football. So, one of the things I would be looking at is not taking your eye off the ball, because you got to work hard to compete at the very, very highest level. And there's always younger guys coming in, that's that's the challenge, is that, you're a young guy at 26, but every year another group of guys comes into the league that you got to compete against. So you got to be at the top of your game. But I think one of the things I'd be using the off season for is to try to find, for instance, if you were interested in real estate, to try to get an internship with a real estate company, or if you need, if you wanted to be involved in, financial services or anything, widgets, the idea would be, to at least get some experience, because I think one of the things is that one advantage that you want to take advantage of it. Sports is showbiz. People want to be around athletes like yourself. And I think an awful lot of companies would love to, bring you into their company, show you what they're doing, so that you could either, do it with them once you retire, or do it on your own. And I think I think that, not that people are not excited about ex-athletes, but people are very excited about athletes. And I think the idea is to use that celebrity to open doors for you, so that you can have that life after football. That's tremendous. You played with Denver, who had a tough season. You've played with the Vikings, who've had some good seasons. I think you've played in 48 games, and you've played in a couple of playoff games. What's the difference between a regular season game and a playoff game in terms of intensity?
Oh man, it gets very amplified, playoff time, from game plan to the crowd, and executing. So, in the football world, a lot of coaches would say, it's not real until after December, until around like when it's getting down to playoff time, So the emphasis on playoff mode, in football has a slightly different, it's a little more effect, a little more effort around playoff time than normal season. So.
Yeah, I know you played. I think you played for Luke Fickell when he was at Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, man.
And I see him building Wisconsin into a powerhouse. I mean, everybody seems like they want to go to Wisconsin right now. Could you see what was going on there? I mean, why did you play for him? And to see a team like Cincinnati, with the size of that school, get to the Final Four, not last year, but the year before, and the culmination of that program, and now seeing what he's doing in Wisconsin. Why did you choose Cincinnati? What's so special about Coach Fickell?
Yeah, man. Cincinnati had the camaraderie there, when I first went on my visits, just how everyone was together, from the staff to the players, that was something that stood out to me. I had a few different coaches over the course of my career at Cincy, but when Coach Fickell got there, you felt the change like immediately, starting from the weight room, to how we executed on the field. He harped on the little things, being able to execute, with the little things consistently, So Fickell, great guy, great coach, great recruiter. He put us in a good position. He had a great game plan, I would say, and, the players bought in. My last season didn't go as well as planned, but I could see us as like the foundation, of what he built from, and turned the program into. So, I'm excited to say I was a part of that. And, and like you said, he's at Wisconsin now. No doubt in my mind, he would, not to say that place needed a turnaround, but, his presence would definitely help that organization. So shout out to Coach Fickle also. And yeah, man, I learned a lot from Fickle off the field, just, about being a man and showing up. So that's what kind of stood with me the most with him.
One of the things I think you're so fortunate being with Mike Tisch is that, Sports Illustrated did an article about 20 some odd years ago where they talked about that 81% of professional athletes were going to be either in bankruptcy or in severe financial distress within 2 years of retirement. And I know you've set up your life so you're going to be in the 19%, not in the 81%. Knowing the guys you play with, do you think that still holds? Do you still think you still think more guys than not are not taking care of their money?
Man, certainly. I would say, a lot of them being the younger or newer people coming into the NFL, because I can speak for myself, but until I got with Mike Tisch and started getting the wisdom of making those right decisions that could help me down the road financially, until I was talking to him and understood the importance of that, I could just being younger and coming from less fortunate to fortunate, a lot of guys feel like, they need to reward themselves more than they actually have to,
Right.
And that's just a stepping stone, as, I would say, being a younger player, that a lot of people have to get over. And it's not just young players, it's older players too that still struggle with the same fight. So I definitely say it's still a problem now, because people create those spending habits, and once the check get cut off, you still, going down the path of, the incorrect spending habits, I would say, could put you in that hole, So I try to give my guys the knowledge Mike Tisch passed down to me, and even point them in Mike's direction, to because I know the struggle of that, again, being a younger player. So that's just it's something people have to get over, when you come from not having a foundation of financial execution, I would call it, So yeah, to answer your question, yes. That's a struggling problem.
I always say to guys, I go, you want to be a king for a few years or a prince for a lifetime? Let me know,
right.
And because it's hard to watch guys sit there and blow themselves up, even with advice. And I just think you should give yourself credit for recognizing that and making sure that you're one of the guys that is financially successful. And it's not just guys that have been in the league for a year or two. You can understand that they're in the league for a year or 2 years and it ends and it's there. But I mean, every week you read about some guy filing bankruptcy that made $100 million or more in the league. How do you make $100 million a year and go bankrupt? It's right. You got to work pretty hard at that, to be good at. Mike, Mike T, tell me what tell me what you have to tell. What would you tell me? Let's pretend Mike Boone's not here. What would you tell me about this young guy?
Listen, Mike makes it easy because he believed in the whole process of, protecting yourself and your money and your family. And he knew that was like the most important to him. So everything else was like fell into place and he listened, so it was like, he would tell me all the time. It's like, hey, I don't know really what you're talking about, but I believe in you, and I know that, we'll figure it out. And then it's like 1 year, 2 year down the road. And then he's seeing how all these things were working and how his cash was building and how everything went into place. And even now, knowing that he's going to have a son in a couple of months, knowing that all these things that people scrambled to do after the fact, he had already laid that groundwork. So it was easy. It's an easier transition knowing that these things are in place and he could really focus on, the next phase, where he's going to go play next and the baby coming and all that family, which is, the most important to him. Some of the decisions that we made early and of, making sure his mom was okay and making sure that, his girl is okay and just making sure that everybody's good. And it was really my focus to just make sure that Mike was good. And if Mike was good, then everything else really fell into place. And he believed in that. So I think that's why we've been together for so long. I mean, and really click, because we talk about everything. And Michael told me all the time, all right, off the record, give me the real. Like tell me for real. And it's like that's the relationship that we built. And we have, I have other players too, but between like I call them the Cincy boys, between Tyreek Burwell and Mike and some of the other guys that came through that I've spoken to, like Jared Dokes and all these other guys. It's like they all have that kind of same mindset of like, shit, Tyreek used to add to his account without even knowing, because he was just so bought into the process. So I think that the more guys that we find like that have that family, that need a little bit of hand holding, but understand that, you have people here that have been there and, like you, Mark, have written books about how to do this. If you plug into that, your chances of winning greatly increase. It's having a plan. They're athletes. They have game plans for their whole day. Their schedule of their whole day, except for how real life acts. This is a real life situation. It's new money. Most guys don't come from money. I mean, I didn't come from money. So it was something that I learned. And I just think, being 51 now and being able to share with these younger guys, some of the skills that I've learned, both, correctly and incorrectly, really gives them the advantage, where they could kind of look in the mirror and say, look, I could do this and be here at 50 versus be a statistic, like you're saying on Sports Illustrated. I just think that somebody that buys in, like Mike and some of the other guys that we've worked with, just kind of leads to that. Why wouldn't everybody really believe in that process? Because that's really where it comes from, leading with the giving hand.
I think that the other issues became a free agent just over the last couple of days as the NFL season ended. I don't want you to, negotiate against yourself or tell us, what teams you're going to sign with. But what are the most important things that you look for in terms of as you're evaluating which team you're going to play for next year? What's the
it may be different for every other player, but some things I consider is the fit, my style of running or catching out the backfield, how does that mesh with, the coaching staff that's already there and the scheme they like to run. That's normally at my top, fit. And just and it's kind of broad, but just a good organization, organizations that reach out their hands off the field also, and other than that, that's all I really look for, because I'm ready to compete, no matter where I am, try to be where my feet is. So, just other than fit and the staff, them outside of football.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that you see organizations that continue to win and succeed, and then you see organizations that continue to fail, and it's no surprise why. It's no surprise why people want to go to those places. And and again, I think a guy like you is you're just a high character guy, besides being a great athlete. That's why I think that's why you're always in demand. And I just want to see you get to the right team this year, and we're going to be incredibly excited to see that. And all I can tell you is I would just ask you, do you have any advice to any young athletes? Do you have any advice to that now that you've gone through this? Any advice to people that are trying to figure out what they want to do in their lives and their career? Is there what advice would you give them?
Yeah, man. The biggest thing that helped me was, I kind of said it a little bit before, but being where your feet are, because the route I took, I was undrafted, so it was a roller coaster. Some weeks you play, some weeks you don't. You're more than capable of playing and being out there, but it's still things that hold you back. So just knowing that the journey will get challenging, and just consistently being where your feet are, that's something that took me a long way, man. So if I had to give advice, that'll probably be the advice I would pass down,
Well, you're going to have a little boy to give that advice to for the rest of your life, starting in 2 months. So I could not be more excited for you and the success that you have on and off the field. And, I think it's so hard in a podcast to really, really, just let the world see, that, you've got your act together in every area of your life. And I just think you should just be so proud. You should be so proud of all the things you've accomplished in every area of your life. And, I just, as I said, proud, I want to thank you for taking time in a busy off season to come spend a little time with us. Mike, obviously, this podcast was a love letter to you from Mike Boone, meaning sharing with you, how he, he doesn't have to do that. So it came from the heart that the guy appreciates, because I know how hard you work, Mike Tisch. And sometimes, not everybody appreciates you or shows the appreciation for you. And I think that, one of the great things in this world is, I think it's, that Mike Boone showed us the way on this podcast is the world could just have a little bit more kindness in it. You could just be a little kinder to other people, or acknowledge other people. And, even a guy like you, Mike, it's got to feel good to have a guy that you've worked with that appreciates you like Mike Boone does. So, it makes me feel good about the kind of person he is. And it makes me feel good about the kind of work you're doing for people, because, you're doing God's work, Tisch. And I'm telling you right now, I'm telling anybody who's watching this right now, I want you to take a look. I want you to follow Mike Boone this year and see what kind of great year he has in the NFL. I want you to check out his social media that doesn't really exist much these days, but I want you to wake up and say, I want to talk to this guy. We'll talk to him a lot, but I want to talk to him in 10 years and find out what this guy did, because he's done some extraordinary things in his life. And I think 10 years from now, I'm so excited to see what your life looks like, Mike Boone, because you're in for even bigger things. And thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you both, guys.
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Thanks. Mike Boone, Mike Tisch. Thank you.
Thank you.